If you're a business owner in the UK, you might be struggling with some of the government decisions that are hurting your business. Well, we've got a brand new Prime Minister right now, and I've put a 7-point plan in this letter to grow your business and to help you. You're going to find out what it is in this video. Hey guys, I'm James Sinclair. I'm a UK entrepreneur. I employ hundreds of people. I built up quite a big business now, and I take all of that experience to help UK entrepreneurs literally soar to success. And I think there's some fundamental things that government can do to help us while still collecting taxes to run our country. So if you want to get involved and you're enjoying this campaign, make sure you hit subscribe and that notification bell, because as an audience we can get under the noses of government and change things for the better. I'm not underestimating it when I say that I'm passionate about UK entrepreneurs, not just my own business. I think entrepreneurs change the world, entrepreneurs solve all the problems. I think the UK has a real place in society where it can, in the world, and in society, where we can actually fundamentally change things really quickly and easily with some small tweaks. So I've put together this attention-grabbing letter here. The opening line is, "Only a stupid Prime Minister would ignore this letter." So I'm hoping this gets under the nose of Boris Johnson. It's about 1,600 words. It's 3.5 pages, as you can see here. And I've come up with a 7-point plan that's going to still drive taxes so the government can invest in the NHS, in education, in police and roads and infrastructure. Because I'm not stupid. I get that we raise taxes to improve our country, and yes, I applaud that. One of my big problems that I have with businesses, with governments, predecessors of Boris Johnson, is they focus on the top 500 companies in the country, the FTSE 500. Now, whilst I applaud that and I am behind that, and I think, yes, we should attract as many big companies into this country as possible, and crucially keep them here, because that drives our economy and it drives jobs, etc., etc. I think the medium-sized business, the person that employs 2 or 3 people, up to 100 people, 200 people, 500 people, 1,000 people, is being squeezed. And I think that is the biggest opportunity for government to really soar to success. And there's so many solopreneurs that don't want to become entrepreneurs, i.e. employ people, because they're scared of all the red tape, the regulation, employment taxes that are stopping them making that first hire, that second hire, which is going to soar our company, soar our country to absolute success. The UK PLC needs taxes, it needs entrepreneurs, and it needs drive and growth, and it needs the will. And this is the big thing that I'm really passionate about. I don't know if you're watching this and what you're thinking about this. We need the will of the people, the will of entrepreneurs to keep going. And I've met over the last 5-7 years of doing business training, seminars, writing books for entrepreneurs, I've met so many business owners that have, quite frankly, they've had enough and they're starting to give up on their businesses. And that's because the government keeps on taxing turnover rather than taxing profit. I've always been quite pro, you should be taxed on profit, but I don't think you should be taxed on the journey to making a profit. So let me just go through some of the 7-point plan that I've got here in this letter. We're going to release this letter on all of our social platforms so that you can read it in detail. But let me just go through the 7-point plan. Point number 1 is a simpler VAT sales tax that is fair for all. That hurts everyone in this country. If you're going to a supermarket, you're buying something, 20% of that goes straight to the government. Now, I get the government need this stuff, but there's also so much red tape and regulation around VAT that's stopping the business that's turning 60, 70,000 pounds going to that next level of turnover, because they're pushing their business down to avoid going in to the next threshold. That happens all the time. So I think a much simpler sales tax at 10% across the board, which also means people won't get any VAT rebates anymore, and there won't be any VAT to claim back, but a straight, simpler tax system would mean that everyone gets taxed fairly. And if it had a lower rate of sales tax, then the service industry, mainly where I'm working in, restaurants, bars, hotels, anything that works in the service sector would be far more competitive, and you would get higher wages in that sector. So point number 1 is a simpler VAT and sales tax that is fairer for all. Point number two is a complete and utter reform of these archaic business rates that are affecting our high streets and physical location businesses. I don't think most people realise, but if you're paying £50,000 in rent to someone, you've also got to cough up £25,000 roughly in business rates. This is stopping people going into physical locations. It's stopping people making the next step, growing their factories, because they're scared about the horrific rise in business rates. They're archaic, they need reform, and they need innovation, because because they're stopping businesses from growing. It's unbelievable that like a company like us, we pay nearly 10% of our turnover in business rates. I mean, come on guys, sort it out. Point number 3 is a giant set of secateurs to the red tape that's put on business owners. And why should there not be that? Because you need just enough regulation to stop the rule breakers from breaking too many rules. But just because 1 or 2 people are broken some rules, why should the whole party be put at risk? And that really drives me insane. There's just too much red tape that's stopping innovation, that's stopping getting things done. So I am pleading now to the new government of this land to get that big set of secateurs, that pair of secateurs over red tape, and get rid of it. Point number 4 is make the cost of employment as attractive and as cheap as possible. Here's a little paragraph from the letter. I calculate that it costs us 30% on top of a salary to employ someone. Horrific! We need to address this. It's because of this we're seeing the rise of the gig economy. Most companies don't mind paying a fair salary to good people. It's the tax and regulation to employ people that are holding us companies back from making that next hire. Incentivize employment, not tax it. So what do I mean by that? You know, you've now got pension costs, you've got huge holiday costs that are really hurting companies. You've got employers' national insurance and all of the other taxes and regulations that go with employment. Now, every time government puts another thing like this on, in my mind, I'm thinking, do we really need to hire that next person? Let's just put it off. Let's just put it off. Whereas if there was an incentivise to employ, I would employ more people. That's growing the country. That's growing my company, which would then drive more profits into the government coffers, which is the right way round. I just think the cost of employment is not attractive now, and that's why we've got the rise of the gig economy, and that is why companies are doing all they can. They're looking at self-serve. I mean, you're looking supermarkets now, they're getting rid of the checkouts because it's too expensive to employ people. Government need to incentivize people to employ, not tax people to employ people. Point number 5, infrastructure. God, I mean, they're spending all this money on railways, but I'm thinking about the roads here. We need to get rid of moving. I mean, yeah, there's so many car parks around this country, which we call roads, ladies and gents, that are stopping Britain from moving. I've spent days, probably months or years stuck in traffic jams, which are stopping me from being innovative and growing my businesses. We need to get more roads. We need to come up with innovative ways of getting traffic moving. I've always thought, why don't we incentivize companies to do all their deliveries of a night rather than the day? Imagine if we removed all the vans and the lorries from the road, what would free up so much more space and reduce congestion. So there are ways of doing it without just building more roads. We just need to think innovatively and entrepreneurially to make that happen. Point number 6, making medium-sized companies that have ambition to grow to get funding easier and cheap as possible. Let me explain what this is. When you've been trading for 3 years, you employ some people, you've made some profits, it should be as easy as pie once you've got some track record to get access to more finance. Now, the government have got these things like the Enterprise Finance Guarantee Scheme where they will secure some lending from banks. But, you know, I meet with lots of banks. They do all they can to avoid EFG schemes if they can, because there's more paperwork. So we need to get the government to give more money to banks, to lend it out to businesses, and the government be the security on it. But the banks still do the risk assessments on it because they're best placed to do it. They've got all the people to do that. And then the banks should make the profit from it. So they increase their corporation tax and then pay that corporation tax to the government. There are so many ways that government could do that. And they need to be really stringent on saying, look, the companies have got to get access to finance to grow. If they employ some people, they've made some profit and they've got some track record. It's too difficult for companies to borrow from banks. And that's why we've got the rise of these peer-to-peer lenders, crowdfunders, which is expensive money. Bank money is much cheaper, and banks have got some really good systems in place, and the governments should be leveraging off of that ASAP. And if I was Prime Minister or Chancellor of the Exchequer, that's what I'd be doing. Point number 7, wage growth. Make it possible. What's happening is government keeps saying, well, we want everyone to have highly paid jobs. We want everyone to have highly skilled jobs and earn plenty of money. You know, the fact of the matter is some people only want to work in a service job. Some people just want to be a waitress while they're going through university. Some people just want to work 16 hours in a coffee shop so that they can have a bit of extra pocket money for their family because they've got a stressful life at home. They don't want a stressful job. They just want an extra bit of income. But what's happening is government are taxing those type of companies so much through higher VAT, higher business rates, higher employment costs, a pension cost for someone that just works 8 hours a week for someone. You know, they're stopping this innovation to employ people and this want to employ people, and that breaks my heart. So if government want those people to earn more money, which I applaud, then you can't have it both ways. You can't tax turnover more and ask for people to be paid more, because the net result is people will just employ less people. That's why when you walk into McDonald's now, you've got these bank of self-serve screens, because they are cheaper than people. But I'm sure when I really look at it, we would like to have some more people back in work, but it's got too expensive to employ people because of the rise of VAT, because of the rise of insurance premium tax, because of the rise of regulations, because of the rise of the rules. There's got to be a fine balance between the two. So if you want people to earn more money, reduce VAT, reduce the taxes on turnover, because that money will then go to the people rather than go to taxes. And it's the right way round to do it. And that's my last point. If I could sum it all up, I really want the government to tax profit, not turnover. And I just hope that the new energy and optimism that Boris Johnson's got is going to feed through, that it's going to stay around, and hopefully we can get rid of this Brexit thing and move on and drive our country to the next level, whatever way we go. So thank you, Mr. Johnson, for hopefully reading my letter. If you've got any comments or anything that you want to add to the letter or think that we should be campaigning for in a second letter, add it in the comments below. I'd love to know what you think. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching the video. Really hope you enjoyed it. To help grow your business, don't forget you can watch more of my videos by clicking here, and don't forget to hit subscribe to the YouTube channel by clicking this button right here. It gets better than that because you can come and see me at one of my seminars to help grow your business. All the details of how you can get to one of those for free is in the video description.